Hello everybody and welcome to the Spotlight. We're going to talk about the Chelsea game, but the real chat I want to talk about today is the state of Marcus Rashford and Scott McTominay. Because Harry Maguire, as we all know and rightly so, has been pathetic this season, both on the pitch and as a captain. But we're going to leave him aside, and as I've referred to in my last couple of videos, actually give the back four a bit of a break and Maguire a bit of a break. And the reason for that is, as I've said, when your midfield cannot control a game and cannot keep possession, your back four will be under pressure constantly and eventually they will crack. It's just inevitable. You cannot be back to the wall for 90 minutes in the Premier League for every game. And I wanted to talk, well, before I get into some stats from McTominay, I want to talk about the Chelsea game. The first half was just so bad. I mean, Chelsea were all over us. They should have scored a couple of goals, really. De Gea making saves again. Rashford, he's like, he does not want to work back. And I think under Ollie, he was told to stand up front and use his pace. Obviously, under Ranić with Ronaldo down the middle, he has to do the doggy work. And for the whole game, Reece James was just wandering around on his own. And people will be like, well, he's Tellers his man, he's Tellers his man. He's not Tellers his man. Tellers is dealing with one of the forwards or whoever else is up there. The fullback needs to track. It's basic. The winger, Rashford, needs to track the fullback. The same as Alanga was tracking Alonso on the other side. The switch sides for 5 minutes. Within 5, straight away, Alonso scores. Rashford stood halfway near the halfway line. He's not going back with Alonso either. He is lazy. You don't even get away with this kind of thing on a Sunday morning. It is pathetic that lad is on £200,000-300,000 a week. All the endorsements he gets, all the support he gets from United. I'm talking about on the pitch here. He is not trying. And if that is all Rashford has got, if that is as good as he is, I don't care how many years he's got on his contract or what, get rid of him. Because there'll be people who will say, oh, but look at him over the last couple of years. He scored 20 goals, blah, blah, blah. He has. But he scored 20 goals by using pace in behind and pop shots here, penalties. And it's dried up for him. People have figured him out. Don't commit to him. Just let him run into you. Let him shoot from 20 yards out. Because you cannot sustain just scoring lucky goals all the time. At some point, you've got to put the effort in and play proper football. Which Rashford, he has lost the plot. I've got no stats on Rashford, but I think he's barely scored this season. I mean, let's see if I can see how many goals he's got this year. Marcus Rashford, goals. It's saying on this stats site that I've got, he's got 4 goals this season in the Premier League. 4. That's it. And I know he's not been playing a lot since Christmas, but that's rightly so. He's not good enough. If he has got 1 year left on his contract and you can get 40 or 50 million quid for Marcus Rashford, I would 100% sell him. I would have never said this a year or two ago. I would think there's something in Rashford. But over the last couple of years, he has not shown anything. And especially since Ranić took over, he looks like a spoiled little brat. He's having a go at people for asking for his signature. He's not performing on the pitch. He's not running. He's moping about when he's on. I don't get what to say about him. I really if you can get any money for Rashford, which you would think you could still, he's still a player that teams will want. But at the top level, has he got it anymore? Did he ever have it? Personally, I don't think he ever did. He had pace and he can strike a ball. But football-wise, he's miles off and he always has been. Again, I've mentioned this before. Look at the development of Marcus Rashford and Raheem Sterling. They both broke through at a similar time. Look where Sterling is now. Playing every week for City, scoring, playing good football, making intelligent runs, getting to the byline, simple pass and move. You don't see him trying to take 2 or 3 players on, running down blind alleys, not passing. He's everything that Rashford wants to be. He's probably one of the most integral parts to the England squad, Raheem Sterling. In the Euros, he was our best player. Rashford can't even get in the England squad at the minute. That is how far he has fallen. I don't know if there's no way back for him for me at the minute. It'd be sad to see him leave United because that's where he grew up and he was a talent and he come through. He's had some great times, but unless he can sort his attitude out, then he's over. Because under Ten Hag, he will not accept that kind of work rate. Absolutely not. That kind of work rate and the football intelligence that Rashford shows will not cut it in a Ten Hag team. I can see him sitting on the bench nearly all next year again, and he'll end up looking for a transfer at the end of next year. And I think his contract's up with a potential for another year. So if you can get money for him this year, personally, I would sell him. But we'll move on to Scott McTominay, who Jose brought through as a young midfielder. Apparently got a lot of praise in the youth. Nicky Butt really liked him. He come through. I guess he probably did okay under Mourinho, the way we used to play. Defensive as anything. Under Solskjaer, he was poor. And he's not a central defensive midfielder. In fact, he's not a player that is anywhere near good enough to be in a Man United midfield. If you think of all the midfielders that Man United have had, I'm not even talking about the exceptional ones, the Scholes, the Giggs, the Carricks, the Keanes. I'm talking about people like Darren Fletcher. I'm talking about people like John O'Shea. Those type of midfielders, he isn't that good. They were way better than he is. I want to give you some stats here on this Arsenal game about Scott McTominay's passing. Bear in mind, he's a defensive midfielder who should be taking the ball off the back foot and dictating the game. So I've got some stats here. His passing stats, McTominay. Here, Scott McTominay's passing stats. Where are we? They're that bad, he's not on here. Yeah, he is, I just can't find him. So, let's have a look. Chelsea. So the Chelsea game, Scott McTominay's passing. 28 passes in 90 minutes as a central defensive midfielder who's supposed to dictate play. 28. Matic had 43. Matic is 10 years older than him. Apparently, Dunn can't play 90 minutes. I do not care what anyone says. Matic, even when he can't run, he's twice the player McTominay is. And yeah, Matic has his downfall. He's older. He's not as mobile. But McTominay gets told, oh yeah, he's a passion merchant. He runs around a lot. He'll put loads of effort in. But if he's running a lot, I don't know where he's running, because did anyone know he was playing yesterday? Honestly, you tell me. Was Scott McTominay a ghost in that game? Well, clearly he was by the statistics. 28 passes. 43 for Matic. Chelsea's centre midfielders. Kante, 62 passes. Jorginho, 81 passes. So, I mean, you could say Matic is terrible compared to them, which he is because they're two of the best midfielders in the Premier League. But 28 passes when he's supposed to be coming to get the ball off your centre-backs and he's supposed to be available in the midfield. It's honestly pathetic. I saw a stat on Match of the Day where it was showing how many passes had been made against Man United, the most ever. I think it was like Fabinho and Henderson and Rodri had made over 100 passes in a game. We've got Scott McTominay making less than 30. And you can say what you like about McTominay. Yes, I do think he has the club in his heart and he's trying his best and he says good stuff in interviews after games. But the biggest thing is he's just not good enough. That's like me saying, oh yeah, I'm a massive Man United fan. Go stick me in centre mid. And then after the game, I do a nice interview and I've run around a lot and say, oh yeah, it was a real tough game today, blah, 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 blah. It's no different. And I'm not saying I'm as good as McTominay, because I'm clearly not. But it's the same principle, isn't it? Someone average going into a team that's way better and then basically coming out and basically saying you're out of your depth, which he is. Honestly, what midfield in the Premier League would Scott McTominay play for? He reminds me of, was it the first year under Ollie when we wanted them Longstaff brothers from Newcastle? I mean, they don't even play for Newcastle anymore. Doesn't that Matty Longstaff play for Bradford or something now in League One? That is McTominay's standard, I'm afraid. You know, people like Nick Powell, Cleverley, they had the chance in a United shirt and they just weren't good enough. And that is where McTominay is. Go play for a Watford, a Norwich, QPR, Championship standard midfielder, McTominay. And again, I'll say it, 28 passes against Jorginho's 81. I just want to go back to, go back to the Arsenal game. See how many passes he had in that game. So in the Arsenal game, player statistics, passing stats. Scott McTominay, passing stats. He made 34 passes against Arsenal. Matic, 41. And Arsenal's midfield, El Neni, 71. Xhaka, 70. So again, Matic is 30 passes off. McTominay, 35 passes off. How can you control a game when your midfield cannot get hold of the ball and pass it? And I will give a mention to Bruno here because he's a massive problem at the moment as well. And another one that Ten Hag is going to have to take a very, very close look at because that guy does not know how to take a touch and pass a ball. Some of the stuff he was doing last night against Chelsea, ball coming into him, trying these round the corners, they're going so either in the clouds. Against Arsenal, he tries to control it on the edge of his box, he falls over, misses a penalty. He is in serious jeopardy if Donny van de Beek comes back and trains well and has a good pre-season of losing his spot in that team. So that's all. McTominay and Bruno, two mainstays in our midfield. McTominay is just not good enough. Bruno is a talented player who's completely lost his way, a bit like Rashford. Although I think Rashford isn't as good as people think he is. Bruno has the potential to be that good. I just want to go back to one more. What was the game before? Just to have a look at that one. Just to see if it's a running theme. So it's the Liverpool game. So there's no doubt he will have barely touched the ball in that game. Let's quickly look. So this game, Fabinho, 97 passes. Thiago, 113. Jordan Henderson, 94. So that's 300 passes between the midfield three of Liverpool. Now let's have a look over here at the United midfield. Paul Pogba, 6 passes he went off. Matic, 40. Oh, McTominay didn't play in that game, did he? Bruno, 45. But again, so Matic and Fernandes had 85 passes between them. Jordan Henderson had 94 on his own. Henderson is a player that has definitely hugely developed under Klopp, because I know a lot of Liverpool fans and they were not a fan of his when Klopp first took over. They wanted rid of him. They thought when they bought Keita that'd be him out of the team. But he's become a great captain. He ticks the team over. He's aggressive, works hard for the team. Everything that the United players do not do at the minute. So the Liverpool game, did he play against Norwich? Let's have a look at Norwich. That's a team of his own standard. So Norwich player stats, McTominay. Did he play? I can't remember. No, he didn't play against Norwich either, did he? Which is unfortunate, but we'll look at the stats anyway for our midfield versus their midfield. So Pogba, see Pogba not 59 passes, Bruno 83 passes. I don't even know who plays in midfield. So 50 passes for Norman, 30 passes for McLean. So there you go. That's the kind of, we're playing a poorer side and Pogba and Fernandes get on the ball. And Norwich midfielders are making 30 passes. So if you want to look at it that way, then there you go. You could stick McTominay in that Norwich midfield and I don't think he'd make any difference. I think you'd swap one for the other and you wouldn't even know he'd gone in there, personally. So anyway, yeah. I think that's enough talking about Rashford and McTominay. Tell me what you think about them. Because I know Maguire, like I said, gets a lot of stick, and rightly so. But those two and Bruno's form over the last month or two are extremely worrying as well. But for me personally, I think Maguire and McTominay need to leave this club. And I don't think either of them will this summer. I don't think you'll see McTominay leave for a long time. Maguire, maybe in a year. Definitely not this summer. As for Rashford, like I said, you would hope he can turn it around. But he's a player that's worth a lot of money and we need a rebuild. So if someone comes with the right money, personally, I don't see any reason to keep him. We've got Sancho, Elanga, Garnacho, Hannibal all coming through. The potential that Ten Hag might want another winger is saying, like someone like Anthony or someone. To me, get rid of him. Get rid of him. And if I had more time, I'd make a video going through all the team and which ones I'd keep, sell and whatnot. But I'm extremely busy at the minute. And the video's been going on 20 minutes now. I've been ranting about them two. So I'll try and get a Brentford preview up. I think the press is on about now, actually. So maybe tomorrow I'll do a Brentford preview. I think it'll be a real tough game against Brentford. Tony and Eriksen running the midfield. I think we'll struggle. It wouldn't surprise me if we lost to Brentford, but I'm going to leave it there. Tell me what you think in the comments about Rashford, McTominay and Maguire. Would you sell, keep? And what do you think about these statistics of McTominay's passing range and the amount of times he goes missing? Let me know, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.